Today's podcast episode is a bonus feature on the Duluth Wedding Show, how to maximize your experience as a guest or a vendor at a wedding expo. We are so excited for our upcoming Duluth Wedding Show taking place on January 11th, 2025 at the DECC here in Duluth. And we thought it'd be fun to come to our listeners with some advice from seasoned wedding professionals on how to get the most out of your wedding planning experience at an expo. So let's dive into this hot topic and have some fun. Welcome to True North Weddings, the podcast that helps you navigate an authentic path to your wedding day. I'm your host, Mariah McKechnie, and I'm excited to be your guide in finding your true north along the journey of wedding planning. Over the past 15 years, I've collected a wealth of wisdom and experience working with couples to not only plan an incredible wedding day, but also enjoy the process throughout the journey. I'm thrilled to have this podcast to share this knowledge with you. And on the pod, I'll feature love stories, interview wedding professionals, and give you my honest, unfiltered advice on how to follow your true north straight to the altar and enjoy every last minute of the party. So get ready for bold, beautiful, and inspiring real talk about real weddings and real challenges. Promise me you'll bring an open mind and heart as you listen. Your True North wedding is just ahead. Let's go. Well, I'm joined here today again by Caitlin Peters, the brand manager of True North Weddings, and we're going to just dive into how do you maximize your day with your squad at a wedding expo, whether it is the Duluth Wedding Show coming up here in January 2025 in Duluth, Minnesota, or anywhere that you live. If you happen to be listening to this podcast from elsewhere, you're inevitably going to have a wedding expo that comes across your social media feed that you think, oh, maybe I should go to that. So we wanted to give our top tips based on our experience for engaged couples that are attending and their squads, or also we'll share a little bit of advice for vendors that are exhibiting. There's two sides to this podcast, really. We try to serve audiences that are both couples and vendors because we relate to both. So, Caitlin, you and I specifically have done many, many wedding shows. Caitlin has been with True North Weddings for a couple of them, so she has more recent experience. But it's a totally different wedding planning environment going to this sea of wedding professionals who are there to serve you what they're selling. So having a plan going into it, I think, is a good idea. And I'm excited to dive into that. So Caitlin, I'm going to turn it over to you to share our first piece of advice for somebody attending a wedding show.
If you are attending a wedding show, either with a big group or just with your partner, make sure to commit. Commit to the full day. This is not a 1 hour in and out grocery store run. This is a take your time, go up and down every aisle, grab a drink, grab some food, find a place to sit, make notes, spend the whole day there and really get the full experience. If you go in it too focused and too narrowed, kind of with blinders on, you don't get out of it what you don't know that you need.
Yeah, that's so well said. This is your opportunity to encounter so many aspects of wedding planning all in one place for one day only, bringing their A game there to answer your questions, to get to know you, to show what they do in person. And if you just think it's something where you're going to be able to run in and run out, it's just not necessarily the best use of your time either. So have fun with it. This is your chance to have a whole day of spending time either planning together or with your friends and family, your bridal parties, and just making it an experience overall.
Making sure you find joy in it. You can always tell when there's a group of people, it's towards the end of the day, they're worn down, they're tired, they want to go home, but they feel like they have to stay. And you can just tell that at that point they do need to go home because they can't get any more out of it.
Yeah.
They've lost the joy in it. They're just tired and hungry and cold or sweaty, depending on what part of the building they're in. And they just need a break, and they haven't given it to themselves.
Well, and that's part of the planning the whole day is recognizing like this is a long haul. This is
a marathon.
It is a
not
marathon.
sprint.
You need to be prepared to eat something, have some snacks,
Bring some water.
get some food, get some drinks.
Mhm.
Know that it's going to be a long day going into it.
Yep.
And also think about like who you are bringing along. Are they there to have fun with you? Or
Yes.
are you going to enjoy spending the time with them too? So like thinking wisely about choosing your companions on this adventure, committing to having a great time and making the most of the experience. You'll get so much more out of it and you won't feel worn out by it.
Mhm.
It is overwhelming. I
Yes.
know we have
Even
this,
walking around as a vendor, I got to
It's-
go back to my booth at some point after talking for
totally
half an hour.
the same psych up about committing to it and having a good time is a conversation we have with ourselves.
Mhm.
Like the same advice goes to vendors.
Oh, yes.
You got to fully commit. You need to go into it knowing like
Gotta
you are
have your
going to meet
glass
so many
full.
people. You are going to have so many conversations. It's a lot of work setting up. It's a lot of work tearing down. But what other chance do you have to have that in-person experience,
Yes.
especially the more virtual our world has become? Like this is a day when we can all get together and create some magic and under one
Yes.
roof. So there's a reason why expos exist and why they continue to thrive. Like people like an in-person experience.
Yes. And I mean, even last wedding show season, one of my couples came up and they're like, Caitlin, nice to see you in person. And I'd put so many faces that it took me a second. And I had just had an initial consult with them a week ago. Their name was Courtney and Tyler. And they actually got married at the deck
Yeah, that's
this
right.
last
That's
summer.
right. Yep.
But they're like, it's so nice to see you in person. And I was like, it is so nice to see you because sometimes I just
don't
don't
get to.
until it's the day of the wedding.
Yeah, especially if they're from out of town. And
Yes.
maybe people make a special trip to Duluth for the Duluth Wedding Show. That might
Yep.
be the one chance that we get to meet them in person before the wedding. So it is an opportunity to have some of those connections and see the work of your vendors in person.
Yep.
And might be one of your only shots all under one roof. And I will say it's a pleasure with the Duluth Wedding Show to know the work that they've put into making it more of an experience. I'm going to be on a panel of wedding professionals doing a chat right before it starts in the morning where people can ask questions and, really get some great advice. So that's a new feature they added last year. I'm excited to be asked back for that. The deck will have food. They'll have bars open throughout the day. There'll be seating to sit and go through your bag full of
Goodies.
and information. So it's really, about being there and enjoying an immersive experience during the day. And preparing yourself, knowing, hey,
There's
this
going
is going
to
to be a
people.
lot. How am I going to pace myself through this and have a good time?
Yes. Allowing yourself to take breaks is
Yeah.
another big thing. You can look at your partner, whoever you're with, and say, I just want to stand in the corner for
Let's go sit and
10
watch people.
minutes. Yep.
Yeah.
That's sometimes the best part when there's a nice lull.
Recharge.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And the end of the Duluth Wedding Show, specifically, this isn't the same in all circumstances, is a big fashion show.
Yeah.
So that's always an exciting, bang at the end of the day. So everybody gathers in one space and they enjoy a fashion show with local bridal shops. A shout out to our new sister company, Josephine's Bridal, who will be walking for the first time in the show. Very excited about that. So just know there's time to rest because you maybe have seen all the vendors, but the show is in a half an hour. So we'll see a lot of people will find a table to sit at, go through everything and get excited to stay for that show. And I think that really sends everybody off on a really high energy note. So another piece of advice is keep it moving. Now, you've been to expos or shows where there's a lot of booths there that maybe don't apply to you. maybe
Mhm.
you already have those vendors secured and hired and you're not looking for another DJ or photographer. And just know that it's okay to walk by. Like, you don't have to talk to everybody. Now, I'm going to kind of contradict myself in my next piece of advice, but stick with me here. Keep it moving. You don't have to go see everybody. Don't have to talk to everybody. You can be polite, when somebody makes eye contact with you, but you just might not be buying what they're selling, and that's totally okay. It can be so awkward. I think people feel
Yes.
really awkward.
And obligated. Yep, they feel obligated to stop by every person. They might have a florist. Let me go talk to this one because they started chatting with me and I got to see the conversation through. But the flip side of it is that you're now in this booth, which sometimes aren't really that big. And then it looks full and another potential client walks by
Yeah.
because that booth is full. Even though you know you're not going to add another florist to your wedding day, you have one. So if you have a vendor, if you have a florist or a DJ, or you have ring insurance, wedding insurance, right? There's so many different things.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep it moving. You don't need to say hi to everyone, but
You can still politely nod and smile. It's
Yeah.
okay. We get it too.
Nod
On
and
the
wave.
vendor
Yep.
side, like, we're not trying to sell to everybody either. We're like, the last thing any of us want as vendors is to like feel like we're trying to sell to you.
Mhm.
That's the awkwardness about
Yes.
the in-person show where you're like, why are we all here? Like, we're here to have fun, show inspiring things, make connection. And
Yep.
like, it's like you're just trying to attract your vibe. Like, you're looking for the vendors where you're drawn into their experience that they're providing in their
Yes.
booth. And you're thinking, oh, this totally aligns with my wedding day.
Mhm.
This is the energy that I want to bring, or this is an idea that I've been thinking about
yeah.
and I can see it in person.
Or, oh, I see this display. That would look so nice. Or, oh, I never thought about this. That's so interesting.
What a
Or,
cool idea. What a interesting concept.
Mhm.
Like, I'm thinking about bouquet preservation in the floral
Yes.
world.
Mhm.
That's a great chance to meet someone who and see what they might do with flowers if they have a
Yes.
display at the wedding show. Like, how might they preserve your bouquet?
Mhm.
That's just like a great example of like something you maybe didn't think you needed, but you saw it there. And then you get to see in person like what those pieces look like.
Mhm.
But again, we're not trying to sell to absolutely everybody's there. We recognize that people come at different points in their wedding planning process.
Absolutely.
If you already have a dress, we understand.
Yes.
Maybe you'll see what we're putting out and recommend us to a friend. That's a hope. That's a hope that you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that looks cool. These people seem really nice. Like, I
Mhm.
can recommend you to a friend. But it's okay to say like, hey, I already have my dress. I don't need to make an appointment. We get it.
Very
So
valid. Yep.
being direct with that is totally fine. Keep it moving. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the other side of that, and that's going to be keep an open mind.
Mhm.
Because you might think you have it all figured out, but you're going to see something at the show that sparks curiosity.
Mhm.
They're like, I hadn't thought about that. Oh, that was a really interesting conversation. I feel like that happens in our booth a lot
Yes.
because as wedding planners, we ask questions. And those
So many.
questions surface ideas and curiosity behind what about this? What about that? And so the more your mind is open on that day to be inspired, to explore, to meet new people,
Mhm.
the more opportunity that you're going to have to like actually find that at the show.
Yes.
And that's a fun way to go into looking at it is like, what's going to come out of this today? Like,
Mhm.
what new thing am I going to find for my wedding day that I didn't expect? I mean, that really should be the main reason you're going, right?
And it doesn't even need to be something huge, like adding another vendor. It can be simply, oh, I never thought about having a menu. And on the flip side, writing a thank you note.
Yeah, because you saw it on a display table
Mhm.
from a wedding decorator
Yeah.
or a rental agency. Like,
Exactly.
that's something that you could see. Or there is a florist there. Maybe you already have a florist, but in the things that you see that they brought, there's a color palette
Yes.
that you hadn't thought about, or a flower that you're like,
Yes.
what is that flower? Like, ask.
Or you see that I've had couples that put a picture of a loved one on their stem when they hold it or inside the flower. And you're like, oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah. So even if you have a florist, It's okay to say, I don't need to make an appointment, but you can still look at what is being displayed and
Yes.
get inspiration from it, get ideas. I know in the many years as I've had the Superior Blooms booth, because we also own the sister company Superior Blooms, flowers are really a fun one to just show interesting, unique things at the
Yes.
show. And people are always like, what is that flower? I'm like,
Yes.
oh, that's a King Protea. Or, that touchy-feely aspect is really important in the visuals, like
Yes.
florals, decor, linens, furniture. The Vault Event Decor Rental is also one of our companies. So we always bring a lot of inventory, because the more people can see it and experience it in person, the more it can apply to their wedding. So seeing a farm table all set up, like, oh, all of a sudden I need this for my tent wedding.
Or a section of lounge seating. Oh, yeah, that would be nice to have a little place for people to gather during cocktail hour. Or, yeah, a black and white checkered dance floor would actually
Yes.
be really cool with what I'm thinking.
Last year, we debuted our dance floor at the wedding show, and that was a really fun way for people to see it and experience it.
Mhm.
And we're always looking as vendors on what could we bring new and fresh this year. So if you're listening and you're a vendor, what are you going to debut? What are you going to show? What are you going to offer?
What do you want to do more of is what we
Oh, I
always
love
tell
that.
each other.
Yes.
What do you want to do more of? Do you want to do more colorful florals? Do you want to do more full out tablescapes? Like, what is it? What kind of client do you want to attract? What kind of person do you want to reach and come into your booth and say, I want this? It's definitely okay to keep a simple, clean, modern look that is timeless and classic. Sometimes we do like to go all out, do something crazy and new. And so finding a good mix of both of those clients and keeping things timeless and elegant, but also bringing in a uniqueness and a personality, and being able to go a little crazy sometimes is just so mentally stimulating in a way.
And I think that's such great advice for anybody listening as a vendor who will be creating a booth for the wedding shows. Who do you want to attract?
Mhm.
Who is your ideal avatar, and who are you hoping you're having conversations with? Manifest it. Like,
Yes.
If anybody knows me, they know that I am a strong manifester, and my manifesting energy, I bring it to everything that I do. But who do you hope stops by your booth that day? Like, we have
Mhm.
that conversation as a team. Who do we want to meet? We think about them. We can't wait to meet these clients that are planning
We think about
North
their
Shore
needs
weddings
as well,
Yes.
taking into account, okay, like if they are getting married on the North Shore, here are things that they need to know. Here's ways that
Yep.
I can help them, and bringing
Yeah.
that as well to the wedding show.
So now I'm so excited. I'm like, I can't wait for the show. It's going to be our first year as a major sponsor. We're sponsoring Pioneer Hall as the Northland Special Events family of companies. Pioneer Hall is a recent addition to the Duluth Wedding Show. It's a really large space, and we have been kind of growing our footprint there with a booth that can show so many things that we do as a family of companies. And every year we try to figure out how to make it new and unique and different and experiential. And so we're in the throes of that, even while we're recording this episode. And I'm just excited to have, the energy of wedding planning kick off the new year, and to figure out how to next level what we
Yes.
can do in a way that then can help clients and couples next level their wedding day planning. So yeah, this conversation is getting me stoked for the Duluth Wedding Show this year.
Because it's so nice to be able to work with a couple that finds it easy to ask for what they want. And sometimes they don't even need to ask because we just bring it to them. They don't know that they want bowed napkins instead of a trifold flat. But we
they
show
see
it
it
to
on-
them, and
yeah.
they're like, yeah, I can easily ask for that. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
So many people are visual.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are visual. Pinterest gives you the visuals, but there's nothing like seeing it in person, touching it, feeling it, and saying, that's what I want for my wedding.
Holding a bouquet.
I love
sitting in a
observing,
lounge.
like on the wedding show day. I love standing back and just watching people experience our booth, and just their little conversations
See
that they're
what they gravitate
having,
towards
what they're
as well.
touching, feeling. It is fascinating for me to just take that all in and then think, okay, I can see the trends that are flowing. I can see what's going to come into the next year of weddings and what we could expect clients are going to be asking for. So it's very fun. It's a fun day. It's a long day, but for everybody, vendors and couples, we get that. You're overwhelmed with all of that. So definitely plan to get drinks afterwards and decompress and give yourself permission to rest after the show. And I want to give a shout out to Kinsey Lundeen and the Lundeen Group who put on the Duluth Wedding Show every year. They're really committed to providing the best experience, and every year they're thinking hard about how to change and evolve the show so that it can better serve guests, and to the DECC who hosts it, and all the vendors that participate. I know I have so much joy as a vendor just seeing my vendor friends.
Yes.
Like it's a reunion. Maybe I haven't seen you in a couple months because our weddings have slowed down and it's January, and you see those shining faces like Jackson Graceland Ballroom and Corey from Sounds Unlimited. These are local companies. Again, if you're listening and you're not from here, you're not going to know these people. But let me tell you, everybody who's doing a wedding show on the vendor side has these friends. Like we spend a lot of time together in wedding season.
Yes.
So,
and it's a good time to just kind of check in. Hey, how was the holidays? Hey, what are you excited for this next season? Do I have any weddings with you?
What are you seeing?
What
are we working together?
Yes.
Now I'm like, oh, Ken from Duluth Event Lighting. I mean, he's always making sure that our booth looks absolutely fantastic and is well lit. Claudia from Black Tie Limousine. I mean, it's so many people that we all get to be under one roof doing our favorite thing, which is serving wedding couples or couples getting married. So you'll see a lot of energy there that is so positive and excited for what we're going to produce as a group that day. So honestly, when I'm thinking about advice to vendors, like what you said earlier, about envisioning who your ideal client, who you want to attract when you design your booth, like put some energy into it. Put some effort into creating a space that is welcoming and inviting and gives off your brand so that people that are walking by don't just pass you by. They want to come and talk to you, whether they have that service or not. Like they're excited to get to know you because you're presenting your best self and something interesting to them. So that's my top advice, honestly, for vendors, and to just go into it with an open mind. You don't know who you're going to meet that day.
Because there's so many new vendors. Like there's never a year where I talk to every single vendor. I would love to, but also we all have to be in our booths. We all go mix and mingle. You miss the one person that you were hoping to see, right? And it builds it's a good community builder within the Duluth wedding family.
Absolutely.
Strengthening those connections, making new ones. There's maybe a new vendor in town or someone you haven't worked with in 2 years.
We always meet people we've never met before.
Yes. So many business cards I come home with, and then I sort through them on Monday. And it's a great time to, build connections, meet people in person, because maybe I've only interacted with this photographer online.
Finally, this goes for both couples and vendors, follow up.
Yes.
The show is over. Now what? It was like a big hurrah. That day happened. Now we actually have to get down to business, and following up can happen on both sides. If you're a couple and you fell in love with something, you can reach out. Don't wait for us to reach out to you. Like I love getting those emails the next day. That's like, I met you at the wedding show yesterday. We're ready to book. Oh my gosh, like how exciting is that? Like let us know if you want to rock and roll, because we're coming out of the show too, and now we're going to go through all of our follow-ups. We've met so many people. So we're like poised to get back to you quickly when you reach out to us first. Like, yes, let's go. So it's a two-way street. You can reach out. But as a vendor, like, don't forget to follow up with all of the people that you met. Like, don't lose that opportunity when you've had these wonderful connections to reconnect outside of the wedding show world and start having conversations together. So get appointments booked and continue to evolve that conversation that started at the show. So follow up, people. On both sides, don't lose the momentum that you took out of the wedding show because you get busy with something else.
As a vendor, just taking 2 hours, blocking it off in your schedule, sitting down with that list, taking time to reflect, type out those emails, send that information, and just taking the time to do it while it's fresh.
Right away.
Because in 3 weeks,
Monday after the show, put it on your calendar now. If you're listening to this and you're a wedding professional, you're going to be at the show, block that off. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And as a couple, don't be afraid to email us. talk to us.
DM me, man.
Please.
Let me know that you are excited to work together. Like, let's
Absolutely.
go. You recognize that I was also your ideal vendor.
Mhm.
Let's go. Yeah. Oh, fun. Well, it is wedding show week. We're going to be airing this podcast the week of the Duluth Wedding Show, so that you can be listening and getting ready to maximize that experience. We're so grateful for the Duluth Wedding Show for always, giving us the opportunity to show off what we do as a family of companies. It's going to be an amazing year, and we're excited to meet so many people. So if you've listened to the podcast this week and you also see us at the Duluth Wedding Show on Saturday, January 11th, come and say hi. Let us know that you were listening, and if this was helpful, we'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for listening to this bonus episode of the True North Weddings podcast, and we look forward to bringing you season 2 of the podcast early 2025 with a whole nother round of episodes that are going to be so helpful, useful, and fun. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the True North Weddings podcast. I hope today's conversation has filled your heart with inspiration and excitement for your journey down the aisle. Remember, love is the compass that guides us all, and I'm here to help you navigate that every step of the way. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. And until next time, keep following your true north. And if you need a little bit more help along the way, you can always find me at truenorthweddingsduluth.com. Remember, just by listening to this podcast, you're already pointed in the right direction.